Hello, everyone. Yours truly, Chrislevi13, and welcome to another awesome episode of the Vault 13 podcast. And today I've got special guests where we'll be talking about their channel. We'll be talking about some of the current things in gaming and more. And it is Dom and Cynthia of the Game Looters. I've been on their podcast when they had that going, and it was fun to talk with them. And it's fun being growing the friendship over the last year to 2 years. We've been growing a friendship, and it's really, really awesome. But enough of my jab. I want Dom and Cynthia. Why don't y'all introduce yourself and tell people kind of about your channel?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us on. It's a pleasure. I haven't podcasted in any kind of way, shape, and form in forever. So it definitely feels good. So thank you for having us on. As far as who we are and what we do, obviously there's two of us. So we are a husband and wife duo over on youtube.com/the game looters. We're YouTubers in every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
We are live streamers. We stream 4 days each and every week, and we cover a plethora of content. We do how-tos and guides and reviews and previews, and we aim to help people through some of their favorite games with a lot of things that they don't necessarily know, and then we seek to entertain them in the same said games. So that's basically, who we are and what we do, and we hope that you guys come over and check us out.
Cool.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I'm
course.
looking at you.
Again, thanks so much for having us.
Cool. It's a pleasure of having you. As I'm still new to this thing, but it's a pleasure to everybody that wants to come on and kind of share who they are and just chit chat about some things and build a friendship, build a bond, and also share it with some people that maybe on my channel that don't know who you are and come over there. Maybe some people from y'all side come over here. Have fun.
Exactly.
So to everybody in the chat, I want to let y'all know it says that we got 8 people in here. What's up, Rax the Great? Remember, y'all can ask questions in the chat, and if I see them pop up, I'll definitely read them out and we'll answer them right here. And obviously, Dom and Cynthia, if y'all want to ask me any questions as we go into this, feel free to ask me questions. But I want to start with some easy things, just to get
All
people
right,
know
all
more
right.
about y'all.
Okay.
So yeah. So when it came in to get y'all getting into gaming and all that, where'd your love for gaming come from? Because I like to know where people's love for gaming. Was it a certain game, a certain console? Where'd it come from for both of y'all?
I'll let her start with this one.
So, in my household, we actually didn't have a lot of video gaming. Um, it was actually just like mainly girls in my household. And so, of course, it wasn't a type of traditional thing that, girls would play video games. And then we ended up having a little brother. And that kind of changed the dynamics like later down the road. And so, of course, my mom had gotten him an Xbox. Um, but he was so tiny, he was so young, he didn't know how to play. And I always had an interest in it. And so I was like, here, let me play. And so my first game was on the original Xbox with Halo numero uno, and I would literally play it for him. And he would just be sitting on the floor next to me, watching me play. And then little by little, our mom would sit behind us on the couch watching me play. And I would even tell my brother, I was like, come on, here, you play. And he'd like play maybe 5 minutes and die. And he'd like give me back the controller. He's like, I'll just watch you.
Nice.
And that's kind of what like piqued my interest in like video gaming as a hobby later on, once I was able to like buy my own consoles and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. So for me, my love started real early. So I got my first game console when I was 3. My cousin had upgraded to the Super Nintendo, and for Christmas, literally when I was like 3 years old, he gave me his Nintendo with like 29 games or something like that. So I inherited his NES, and it had Duck Hunt, and the Super Mario Bros. Was like the first game I ever remember playing along. It has like that 2-pack with Duck Hunt, and that's basically like that's basically it from there. And I just really began to really just play games constantly from there on. A couple of years later, when I was 5, I got a Super Nintendo. I loved the Super Nintendo. I played that forever, and then it just kind of continually progressed throughout my whole life. I was definitely that kid who, I definitely did all kinds of things. I played sports and I was outside, but I was also reading like gaming magazines. I was reading Electronic Gaming Monthly. I
Nice.
was reading Game Informer. Once Xbox, started coming into the fray, I started reading the Xbox magazine, and it's just kind of always been a huge part of my life. It's just kind of entertainment. Ever since I can remember, I've either had a Game Boy in my hand or a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Advance, to the PSP, to the Vita. I kind of throughout my life, we own every single console ever in existence from the NES
Wow.
forward, besides the
Yeah,
Genesis,
we
because
do.
I definitely was not a
And
Genesis
Atari.
kid. Yeah, so that's the Genesis is really the only thing that's not in my collection. I have things from the Saturn to the Dreamcast, every single handheld. It's just always been a huge part of my life that I've always just it holds a special place, and it will continue to forever. I'm an old man as it is already and getting older, so it's gonna continue to hold a special place for me and for us and now my kids.
Yeah. Now the funny thing was when we first started dating, we didn't introduce to each other that we loved video
Yeah.
gaming.
Wow.
I think he was a little bit more probably I would say embarrassed by it because he never really like boasted about it. It would just be him and his friends playing NBA 2K. And I was like, great, typical guy video game,
Yeah.
whatever. Um and the only console I had brought into the relationship was what was it, my Wii?
The Wii, yeah.
The original one.
Ah,
And it was the 25th anniversary like red one from Nintendo. And
nice.
that was the only thing I brought into it, and I was like, this is what I play because that's what I had bought in with my own money. I was like, it's mine. Um but little by little he was like, well, I think you'll like this game, so he got me like the 2DS with like Pokemon on it, and so that's what I started playing around him. And so he started noticing it's like, okay, she's okay with playing video games. I was like, hell yeah, I am. And just little by little we just started growing our collection to what it is now, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I know y'all have an enormous
Absolutely.
collection. I've heard y'all talk
Yeah.
about it. You know. Yeah, so cool to see where y'all come from. So whenever y'all were growing up, is there any like games that were like some of your favorite series that you still play to this day? I know obviously one of them is obviously Pokemon. I see it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, is there
Yes.
any other games out there that maybe people don't normally see you play on the channel, but it's like maybe some of your favorite series or something?
So, I mean, as far as that goes, I think I haven't really grown up in about 30 plus years now. The series that were my favorite have continued to be all through life. Like you said already, Pokemon's like it's like one of my original loves. I mean, as you see behind me, I have Pokemon stuff. I've had a ton of Pokemon stuff. I'm wearing a Pokemon shirt right now. I've had tons of Pokemon stuff throughout my whole entire life. So obviously, that's like probably my favorite game series of all time. But I mean, things that have stuck with me since I can remember has been like the series like Zelda. I always play. I always play and have played a ton of JRPG games. I've always been really into JRPGs ever since like the PlayStation 2 era. I've continually played my GameCube even to this day. I still play my GameCube. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite system of all time. But I think kind of as I've moved forward in life, I've kind of just like tried different games and different things. I mean, I've done everything from I've played PC games. I've done the RTS games. I used to play Command and Conquer. I've done everything, and then I've
Nice.
kind of niched down and said, okay, here's the real like few genre of games that I love. And now some of my favorite games of all time are like the Fire Emblem series, the Persona series, the Pokemon series, the Animal Crossing series, the Zelda series. So I have like the specific loves, but I think if there's one genre that's stuck with me since I can remember, that's been like the racing genre, and that's not something that I ever really talk about or really cover on the channel. But I play a ton of racing games since I can remember, from the original like Gran Turismo to the every single Need for Speed. I've played every Need for Speed in existence.
Wow.
I love games like Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed. I have Need for Speed on the Sega Saturn. I have every single Need for Speed that's existed. I love racing games. I've always had like a deep love for cars. Even now, my car it now is turbo and it goes vroom vroom, and but it's not something that I typically even ever really talk about or anything, just because the racing scene is very specific, and if you're not like deep into it with like racing bucket seat and your steering wheel and all kinds of other stuff, you're trash in the racing scene. So it's not something I ever really talk about, really.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, with me, only because video gaming hasn't been so embedded into my life as these last 10 years have been for me, right? And it's mainly only because it got more intense when we finally started dating. I would have to say, of course, my number one series is Halo. I mean, and that's just because that's what started my journey, right? Yeah.
Halo.
And so I know how much you love it. And I'm glad that you were able to pick up the Master Chief collection, because I was like, yes, please, I need to have him like in my life, like full on statue, just like come to me. Other series that I remember just growing up with that I still love today. One that I just remember playing at like my sister's house with her kids, right, would be Conker's Bad Fur Day. That one was absolutely fun to play with. But really the series I've fallen more in love with wasn't until after we started dating. So of course, Pokemon. Animal Crossing became huge. He made me play the original one on the GameCube, and that's where I fell in love with it. Yeah. What do we have? 2 GameCubes? Something like that. And I played it on one of them, and I was like just so embedded into it. He's like, "You really like this, huh?" I was like, "I don't know why." Another one that I got huge into was, of course, Monster Hunter. I don't remember the one you made me play it on.
It was a PSP.
Yeah, and again, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I like this. And so Monster Hunter World became huge. What was it, last year? I've probably put in more than 500 hours into it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
That's dedication.
Those type, it's. I mean, Destiny was like another one like that, but I didn't play the original.
We have like 1,200 hours in Destiny, Chris. We don't tell that to the public because we don't want to get shamed or anything. Yeah, because we're still not good at the game. If you see us online, we're still getting like hit left and right.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're impressive, but it's just an impressive amount of hours.
Fun. Yeah. It's been interesting these last 10 years, like what I've built up. Zelda, it's fun. But I don't have like the original memories like you do from like plus years ago.
Yeah, I think her memories with Zelda started on, what was the first one? The Wii U? Was it the Wii U?
Wii U. It was Twilight Princess.
Yeah,
that's where I started.
Which is one of the best Zelda games. Come at me.
I love it. I love it. It was
Never played
so
it.
fun. Surprisingly, I actually played the majority of it on the tablet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about, commitment. But yeah, I mean, those would probably be like my biggest ones for sure.
Cool to hear that. So since it's been recent in the news, before we dive into how y'all create y'all's channels, I can see it in the chat. Stitch put out there, y'all hyped for the Monster Hunter Rise and the stuff that's coming out next year for the Switch and stuff?
Yes. And so like I just mentioned, Monster Hunter hit home with me and has secured a place in my heart. And so when we saw it come out in the little mini direct that they had, I was like, this is amazing. Mind you, Monster Hunter really has only been on Nintendo. And so when it came out to Monster Hunter World, that's the only console it didn't come out on, was on the Switch. And so you had it on PC, you had it on Xbox, you had it on PlayStation. Switch was left out, and so for it to now only have a Switch exclusive, it's coming back home.
And it looks
really good.
It looks so dang good. It looks so good.
They're taking so many elements from Monster Hunter World and implementing it in Monster Hunter Rise, and I'm just so excited. We already have it pre-ordered.
Yeah.
The collector's edition, of course, because it came with that amazing, crazy ass amiibo.
Wow.
So I'm excited for that. The Monster Hunter Stories, I didn't know there was the first one, and so
I didn't either.
And so I kind of want to get it back. Was on the the 3DS, and so he needs to hunt it down for me so I can play the original. So that way, when Story 2 comes out, I can be even more excited for it. But it looks really, really good.
Yeah, it does look really good.
I'm also excited because it's on the Switch. So that means that you'll definitely see us playing it live Because typically, on the channel for the most part, around 95% of the time, we try and stick to Switch titles, just because that seems to be kind of what our community and our viewers tend to enjoy a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that, and I hope I'm crossing fingers and toes and things that can't be seen, that people really enjoy the Monster Hunter content on the channel. Because if not, that means like we're just gonna have to play like in a closet and nobody sees us kind of thing.
Which I'm okay with.
Hey, what are you doing, Dom? I'm in the closet just playing much better. The channel don't want to see this.
Away from the children. Yeah.
On my little light in the dark, yeah.
Man, you
Great.
you remember having those old? Just put it out there. You remember having those old Game Boys and having a little attachable light and stuff that you had to play on?
Don't you still have one?
Yeah, I still have mine, and it has a magnifying glass on it.
Yeah, I had a
It's
Game
like
Boy
a
Advance.
magnifying glass slash light.
Yeah, I had a purple Game Boy Advance that had that on there. Had the little magnifying and the light, and I would sit there and we'd go on trips and all that. I'd be in the car just playing for hours on end.
Dude, I remember back in the day with the original Game Boy, I had the translucent light, so it was like a purple one. And it was windy, and you
Yeah.
could kind of see the wires inside. I used to think it was so cool. I was like, yeah, like it's all purple and everything. And I used to think I was like the coolest, but really we looked like a bunch of dweebs, because every time that you'd be in the car and the light, like the lights in the road would pass, you couldn't see anything on your screen. You're just like,
Yeah.
what happened? Look at you. Did you die?
Yeah, cool. I just want to give another shout out to Tiny, the mod general, for being in here. Thank you. I've seen you over there on their channel in the chat. Thank you for being here.
Mad Catz gaming accessory. Yeah, it was Mad Catz. Mad Catz was the stuff back then. You knew you hated your friends when you gave them a Mad Catz controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so speaking of your love for gaming, it's cool to see where it came from and all that. But now you've transitioned not just to love games, but to share it with the world through your channel called The Game Leader. So where did it come to y'all to want to say, hey, we want to put this out there for people. We want to stream, create videos. And where did the name The Game Leaders come from? Let everybody know.
I'll take that one.
Yeah, I'll let him
Okay.
start.
So in 2015, I was playing The Witcher, and I had started seeing like content on it. In I never really watched YouTube. I never watched people stream. I never watched content. I just played games to play games. Every now and then I would look at guides and stuff like that, but for the most part, I never really consumed any content that was gaming related. So in 2015, I was like, man, I think it'd be cool to do like something like YouTube or something on Witcher, because I had started
Yeah.
consuming content on Witcher 3. I didn't do it, and it just kind of like a fart in the wind, just kind of left. And I had always kind of been talking about it with friends, like, I think it'd be cool to start a YouTube channel, just trying to get some. I was just trying to fish for someone to be like, you should totally do it, man. But it just didn't happen. So in 2017, I'll kind of skip forward a couple of years.
Yeah.
I had continued talking about it, and I had friends, and I was talking to them about like, hey, it'd be cool to do a YouTube channel. And finally they were like, whoa, you know what? It'd be great. I would love to do that with you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh yeah, I got somebody on the line here. And we started talking through it. And 2017, we went to E3. So that was our first year
Nice.
at E3 2017. And I was like, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're just going to go. We're going to talk about E3. And we're gonna start a YouTube channel, and we're gonna start a podcast, and we did. So that's when the channel was created. Was in June of 2017. We created our channel.
Mind you,
and
I wasn't part of that.
She was like a background character.
No,
like
I
she was
wasn't.
she was part
No,
of
I
it, but
wasn't.
just kind of in spirit.
No, I wasn't.
So I started the channel with a couple of my friends, and I was really thinking about like, what name do we pick, right? And at that point in life, we were getting loot crates, and the loot crates were the ones that came in. You got Funko Pops and
Monthly
T-shirts and stuff like that.
subscription,
Yeah.
And I was like, I love gaming. And at this point, we were starting a podcast. We weren't really starting a YouTube channel. It was a YouTube channel just to funnel our podcast so we could talk about games through. And I was like, well, there's multiples of us, and I don't want it to be like, Dom's YouTube channel or Dom's game. I want it to be like a brand. I was very specific. I was like, it needs to be a brand, so it needs to be multiple. So, I was looking at my loot crate and I was like, you know what, looters, like, people who like loot stuff, they're like treasure achievement hunters. They're going to do so. I just made up the name. I was like, okay, the game looters. And I was like, well, that seems like something that is something that somebody can remember. It seems like something that'd be good for like a brand. It seems like something that could be good on like a card or a shirt or something like that. And that's the name that we rolled with. And we then basically we started the channel, we started the podcast, and we went for like about a good 7 weeks strong, 7, 8 weeks strong, because it was about 8 or 9 episodes weekly to semi-weekly,
Yeah.
when I could get a bunch of hooligans together in a room to actually record an episode worth of thing. And we put it out there, thinking that we're gonna be the next thing since sliced bread, and nothing happened. And because nothing happened, the people that I started the YouTube channel with began to lose interest. And the reality is, when you are a video creator, when you're creating any kind of content of any
Yeah.
kind,
Yeah.
it's really hard to take in putting something that you're passionate and putting love into, and nobody gives a f about.
Yeah.
And nobody watches, nobody consumes. And what ended up happening is I continued to champion it, because I was actually passionate. I was like, you know what? I started it. I'm never giving up. This is it. This is forever. But the people that I started with, they began to lose faith. And then it went from weekly to bi-weekly to I think they might come over in November to shoot one more episode. And then by like episode 11, which was probably about 9 weeks removed from 10, they just basically fell out. So within like a 6 month time frame, it went from hype to basically they're out of the game. So that's kind of where she began to come in. I was like, hey, I need
the
to
filler.
I need to get this contest. She was.
I
Filler.
was the backup person.
I was
Yeah,
like,
I was literally coming in when they wouldn't make it. He's like, hey, we need to record this video. I was
Yeah.
like, no.
I was like, hey, I need to get this out. At that time, this is the year of the Switch, right? Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
and Odyssey was coming, and things were happening and moving and grooving. And I was like, you know what? We need to get it out. And some people can do it, and the people who tend to do it already have a pretty large audience that is there for just them. But when you're really small, it's hard to do like a one-man show. You know what I mean? Especially because the reality is, when you're doing a one-man show and you have a really small audience of maybe 2 people if you're lucky, nobody really cares. So I was like, well, I need to have somebody else there to kind of bounce ideas with, to conversate with. And that's when she came in, and I begged and I pleaded, and she was like, fine, I hate you, but I'll do it. And that's when it slowly started.
Yeah, it
and
was bad in the beginning.
and we did around another 10 episodes or so, another 10 weeks, 12 weeks of podcast.
Now,
Yeah.
mind you, let me give you some backstory on me.
Sure.
I had just recently given birth.
Oh.
You
And
did.
yes, and to our youngest son. And so we would try to find times around his napping, sleeping schedules, to try to like bust out these recordings. And sometimes it wasn't feasible. So like if you go back to like archives, you can see Dom like jumping like this because he's like with his foot, he's like,
and I was
literally
trying to play it
swaying our
off.
baby.
So I was talking with my
To get
hands
him
and
to
stuff. But
sleep.
reality, there's
I'm
a
going to
baby,
the
like a
archives
little
of
baby
Game Leaders.
bouncer
Let me
at
see.
my feet.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So, but anyways, but long story short, so that's what ended up happening. She began to come in. But then, much like it was before, nobody was still watching. So then we started to experiment. And I started to do different content like reviews. So I started putting reviews out there. We did a couple of different reviews.
Unboxings, because we were still doing the loot crates.
Yeah, we did some unboxing. This is when
Nice.
you begin. This is what you begin to do when you're trying to discover who you are and what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So we did unboxings. We would do reaction videos. So we, just like we do now, right? Like a Nintendo Direct came out, we would do that. PlayStation events came out, Xbox E3 events. So we began to experiment. And it wasn't about till the beginning of it was like towards the tail end of 2018. And she came to me, and she had at this point been consuming a lot of Destiny 2 content, because Destiny 2 was just around. I think it came out in September. So towards the tail end of 2018, she was consuming a lot of content on Twitch and on YouTube, and watching just people who were streaming. No, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing special.
He noticed it. I'm just like on my phone, just
Yeah.
watching it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, why don't we do that?
I was like, what
And
do you mean? He's like, why don't we just play video games,
Yeah.
but do what they do, like stream it or pre-record it kind of thing. And
And-
I was, yeah.
and that's kind of where it started. Was like, okay, well, now we're streamers. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now we're stream. Now we're going to stream, and this ended up being the narrative. And I'm taking you through the whole journey here. This
Yeah,
ended up
it's fine.
being-
Fine, go ahead.
It ended up being like the narrative throughout 2019 of, we're streaming, and we experimented, dude, with Twitch. We experimented with Mixer, RIP. We experimented with YouTube. You know what I mean? So we've done it, like we've been on all of them, and we've struggled. We did the Twitch only streams, the Mixer only. We're trying to get discovered. And we did all of that throughout 2019. And
I was still uncomfortable being on camera. I mean, I hated being on camera. The when we first started streaming, I was like, look, I'm just barely getting comfortable just being on camera, and now you want me to be live on camera? Like, at least if I'm recording it, if I mess up, you can edit it out.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about being live.
Yeah.
And so in the very beginning, you can see a lot of videos where I'm not even here, and you just hear me on voice chat kind of thing, and it was just solely his presence.
Yeah, so like the end of 2018, we were streaming Pokemon Let's Go, and that's really where that's
Yeah,
really
it was
where
funny.
it started. And like she said, she'd be here, but just kind of in body, but not really, participating. She wasn't talking to the 5 people who were watching us at that time.
No.
She was just kind of chilling and hanging out. But what ended up happening during that time is, we got raided by a really large Pokemon channel. And I was like, holy crap, I gotta step up my game. And that's kind of where the narrative, continues on into 2019, as that's when we began streaming 5 days a week. It started to be more both of us than just one of us. She started to participate more. We started doing Resident Evil last year. We did all the things we did throughout the whole year. We did Pokemon Sword and Shield when it came out. We did a ton of different games. If you look at our live stream playlist, and most of it's not public, we have like 400 videos on there. Like we literally stream 5 days a week, every single week, nonstop. And last year I was focusing on trying to find outside of streaming, because if you just stream, it's almost impossible to grow still if you only do streams. So I was trying to figure out what kind of supplemental content can I do that could actually bring people in to streams. And kind of towards the tail end of last year, I finally figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I finally figured it out. And what ended up happening was I was like, I began to discover things in games towards the tail end of last year, like Pokemon Sword and Shield. And I was like, as I discovered things, I was like, I would ask her. She was my muse, or the person I would go to kind of bounce things. I was like, hey, do you know how to do this? And the moment she would answer no, I'd be like, okay, if you don't know, that means other people who are playing the game just like you don't know. And I began to do content that was like how-tos and guides and helpfulness and stuff like that.
Nice.
And that's where our brand started. So the tail end of last year, we had 500-600 subscribers.
We were trying
And-
to get to 500 before the end of the year.
Yeah,
And I think we ended the year with like, what, 700?
close to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we broke the record even before we hit the end of the year.
And then that's really
And that was just 500.
and then that's really where it continues. We continued hammering home all the Pokemon content. We started changing what we did, and we not only did the how-to and helpful content with Pokemon, but we began streaming Pokemon. So the people who would, get helped, they would also be able to come in and be entertained with said game. And then it's just kind of continued throughout this year. Obviously, we stream a lot of Animal Crossing. We do a lot of helpful videos, Animal Crossing. And we've just kind of become a very specific channel that you can come to
Yeah.
get help with certain games. But then we also sprinkle on the reaction videos still, but mostly for the most part around like Nintendo and stuff. And that's kind of our journey our very long journey here on the platform.
Yeah. So
Still trying to claw and make it. You know what I mean? We're
yeah.
still trying to be
Yeah, I saw
something.
y'all recently, just last week, I think it was. Y'all hit 2K, so yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
You think-
Jake, and I hate you.
I hate you too, Jakin. Thanks a lot.
yeah,
But no,
yeah.
I mean we
Chips, thank you. I love Nido King and Nido Queen. Nido Queen is one of my favorites.
but we yeah, just like you mentioned, we just recently hit 2,000, which was our next goal that we had set up in place. If you had seen my tweet, I posted that we had originally set up that goal for Halloween, and I think we were like a decent number achievable
Yeah.
to hit towards Halloween. We're like, okay, if we keep this pace up, well, hopefully we can get it by Halloween. And the fact that we hit it last week, I was like telling Dom, I was like, I can't believe we hit it, and October hasn't even started yet. So I mean, definitely, as crazy as 2020 has been, it has really been great for the channel. As far as growth wise for what we have seen, and it's definitely been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
it's been a fun ride so far that'll hopefully continue for a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak on your streams in just a second, but I want to give a shout out to everybody that's come in. Chips, Jakin, I see your comments, Jakin, and Linda. Thank you all for coming in, and thank you for that nice comment, Chips, right there. Yeah, I'm still just trying to chug along and get to my 1K subscribers here, but hey, I got a lot of support in the community, so hopefully we can get there by the end of the year.
Heck yeah, keep grinding.
Yep. So when it comes to your streams, I've noticed over your time, you used to have a certain layout for them, and then over time, I've started to see, and even Avedon Smith has pointed it out to me. Y'all got themes for your streams, how they're themed around the game, like that layout and all that. What game did they make y'all want to do that? Because that's really cool. Because hey, I'm gonna stream Animal Crossing. It's got that Animal Crossing layout. And also, I want to speak on y'all do something really unique. A lot of people do multiplayer games as people, and you see one person's point of view, but y'all put both of y'all's up there. And that's really cool. So I want y'all to kind of break that down for somebody like me that doesn't know how to do that, but also explain what made y'all want to do that.
So I'll let him talk about it because I literally have no control and I have absolutely no knowledge on how to edit. I don't do any of it. He's the mastermind behind.
Because I think it's really beautiful how it looks. Because like I go on the Animal Cross streams and I see both of y'all up there and all that. I'm like, okay, they're doing this and she's doing that, and then y'all shiny hunting. Well, she's shiny hunting for this, and you can actually see it. It's like, oh, you don't just hear the voice. Oh, she's doing this, and I'm sitting here doing this, and we're just sitting next to each other. It's really cool.
So it started. It's the same thing. It started at the end of 2018 when we were streaming Pokemon Let's Go. And much like everybody else, we had just I just had the layout of the game. It was like, here's the game, here's my webcam border, and here's a bunch of the stuff of all the garbage that Streamlabs puts in on the stream. And I was like, I'm a streamer now. And when Pokemon Let's Go came out, I was starting to research, like, well, what are other people doing? Which is super powerful, right? It's like, what are other people doing who are doing well? Not just, what's Joe Schmo with one viewer doing? No, what are the people with like hundreds of people on their streams? What are they doing? And I found a theme, at least in the Pokemon community, of if they played Let's Go, if they played X and Y, if they played Sun and Moon, whatever it was, their layout also represented that. And to take it even further, and I'll tie this in later, to take it even further, what I was finding in the Pokemon community is they would do kind of battles against friends. So they would do like a randomizer, or they would do what they call like cage locks, or they would do versus battles. Like they would basically play the game against each other, but they would have both gameplay on the screen. That way you're not just seeing one perspective, you're seeing both. And that's where the idea started to get into my head. So then what I did is I finally commissioned somebody. I paid somebody to create a layout for us. And as I'm sure you know, art's expensive.
Yeah.
And I paid somebody. I got a layout. I thought it would look great. Looking back on it, it doesn't look that great. But I mean, at the moment, I was like, man, this is the bee's knees. I thought it looked great, but it didn't. And after that, I commissioned somebody else for another layout. And then eventually I was like, I don't necessarily mind paying people for art, which I still do, but I was like, I need to learn how to do these things because I can't be the person who just keeps paying people to do things. I was like, I need to put in the time. So what I ended up doing was I spent just a stupid amount of hours watching and learning on how to do Adobe products. So I
Ah,
spent time how to do Adobe Photoshop. I spent a lot of time how to do Adobe Premiere. I'm still learning how to do After Effects. I'm still learning on how to do Adobe Illustrator, and I just spent a lot of time learning how to do all these things. That way, yeah, I still commission art every now and then because I'm not an artist. I don't know how to draw, but I can make a layout, I can make a banner, I can make a thumbnail, I can make pretty much everything you see on the channel.
yeah,
60% of it is all done by me. Like I know how to do all of it, and it's grown with me as I started from the beginning to
Hmm.
now. Do you know how to do like vector lines and then know how to do certain things? To know how to create stream transitions and stuff in like After Effects. So I've just kind of spent a lot of time learning how to do that. And the same thing like I was saying in 2019, we were experimenting and streaming and stuff, and
yeah,
we kind of had that to where I would play a game, but she'd be here commentating, or she would play a game, and then I'd be here commentating. And eventually, I was like, we need to find games that we can play together because if one of us is bored during the live stream and maybe isn't popping off that day, we need to find a way to be entertaining because the last thing somebody wants to do is come into a new stream and be bored with you.
yeah,
So what
And
we
that was
did
happening a lot with me.
yeah, so what we did was I was like during the beginning of Pokemon Sword and Shield coming, I began thinking like, yo, we're gonna get two screens, we're both gonna play it, and that's really where it started. And ever since then, people really liked it. They're like, wow, I've never seen this before. Wow, I can see both your guys' screens, this and that, and that's why we have like this continuance now to make sure that we play games that cater to us being able to play together. And instead of hearing somebody on the other end, like, if you ever go into like a Fortnite stream, just calling out Fortnite streamers, if you go in there and they're talking with their friends and then their friends are reacting to something crazy, you have no idea, what's happening over there. But if something happens on ours, right? If something happens in Animal Crossing or Fall Guys or something like that we've been playing recently, you can see it. So
It's
that's
happened the last few
yeah.
streams when we've been shiny hunting.
Yeah, and
yeah,
that's kind of like our brand. So as we move forward, like later this year, we're playing Hyrule Warriors. We're gonna do the double thing, and you're gonna be able to see both of
I
our
can't.
stuff.
Yeah,
We're gonna do
I
Monster
was
Hunter
fighting so hard
Rise.
on that one.
We're gonna do Monster Hunter Rise when that comes out, and going forward, we probably will try to avoid, certain games that don't cater to how we play, and that's kind of our thing, right? Is like that's
yeah.
kind of what you
You
can come
found
in
what works for
and
you.
expect.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
found what works for
yeah,
you, and
and it's been fun.
that's really cool because I mean, probably the people, everybody in the chat, and what's up, Avidon, can agree with me because they've all been around, been jumping in the streams and all that. It's really cool that y'all got something that works for y'all because it also, as y'all being a gaming couple, it brings y'all closer together because you're not just sitting there bored. You're actually being able to play a game together and share that experience with everybody. And hey, you have something happening in the game, she has something happening in the game. Y'all can see it right there. You can help each other out. Y'all can also
Yeah.
chat with the thing. It's really cool, and also I like when y'all do those Animal Cross streams and you invite people in there, so y'all are all on the island with your friends. Have people coming. It's really fun, and I really enjoy the streams. I can't always make every stream, but when I come in there, I see the chat's always popping. It's always having fun. Dom's got his little sound effects he wants to pop up there every once in a while.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been great, and even and it sounds cheesy, but even outside of it, it's like even though we we're there hanging out with the community, we're still hanging out together. So on top of hanging out with all the people who give us a little bit of their time each and every stream, we also get to hang out together. And the moments that you see and stuff, like I've always had this like motto, like don't be fake, like don't be those fake
Yeah.
streamers. Like I'm not gonna give you a persona
Yeah,
that's not me. Like I am me. Like what you see is me. Maybe I don't cuss as much. I try to hold back a little of the everyday
I've been
language a little
working on
bit.
it a little
But for the
bit.
most part, like the stuff I say, the jokes I crack, this is the same thing that I do, when we're not live. And like I think a couple of weeks ago I had was it a shiny that popped? Yeah, it was like a shiny that popped in Pokemon and I reacted to it. And somebody in chat was like, "Wow, really acting there?" And I was like, "Nah, you don't get it. Like, I've been searching for the thing for 4 months. I have literally sat in bed at 2 a.m. shiny hunting and lost my crap when the shiny popped. I even woke this one up, and
Oh,
she
I
was
was
like,
so
"What's going
mad.
on?" I was like, "It's a shiny. I'm so
I was like,
sorry."
oh.
So that's why I try to tell people like, "No, this what you see is what you see is what you get." And I think that I don't know if, but I hope that that comes through to people too, and that's just kind of
Yeah, I like the
who we are.
very
It's a good
genuine
time.
feel about it. You're not putting some fake out there because as I do streams as well and content, and
Hmm.
there comes a point when you do some content and you sit there and you try to not be that way, but then you get to a point where where it's happened to me where you start to get that way, and then you got to figure out how to break out of it, not to be like that. You got to sit there, be more me, be who I am on stream. Share who I
Yeah.
am. And for me, it's nervous at first to do that, but then when you just start doing it and then people react to it and they enjoy it, you're like, okay, now I can be more comfortable. It's easier to go live, either be in front of that camera and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and you know what? I messed when we first started, and I first started going live. Like I said, we tried Twitch and stuff. I tried solo. I would do a lot of solo streams. She
Yeah.
would accompany me twice a week, but the other 3 streams was just me and stuff. In the beginning, I was finding that I was using my YouTube voice for streams, and it was terrible. It was awful.
Yeah.
And what I mean
It
by
was
that is
funny.
like when I put out a piece of helpful content, you want to be more structured. You want to make sure your sentences are clear, your words are clear, people can
Yeah.
understand you because they're trying to learn something. Like they clicked on your video for you to teach them something or for you to give them some kind of value. So what I was
Amen.
finding is I wasn't being myself on streams. I was starting to be like that. And so I switched gears. I was like, you know what? I'm done playing. I'm just gonna be me. If people like it, they do, or they don't. And at the end of the day, I was streaming to like 3 people anyway. So I was like, if I lose one, what's two or what's three? And that's ended up being a little bit better. And then people get to see us too. And I've literally had people message me like, I watch you guys so I can hear you bicker. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
I feel about that,
Yeah,
but I'll take it.
it's so funny. They're like couple goals. I was like, no, you don't understand. This is normal. I was like, this isn't
Yeah.
acting. Like if he says something and it annoys me, I'm gonna tell him straight up, shut up.
Yeah, so it's been really fun, and it's a process. We've
Yeah.
definitely grown a lot, and
Yeah.
it's
So
just been like I said at the beginning, it's just been a fun time and a fun ride.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff now where I can say I've grown a lot with the channel. I mean, I used to hate being on camera. There's certain things I still won't do on camera. Um, but like it's it's fun being able to stream to, of course, our community that has
yeah,
been
speak.
watching us
Yeah,
for
speak
a
on your
long
community if you
time.
want to. How do you feel about the community that you start to create?
It's
It's
interesting. Definitely.
yeah.
I mean, it has to do, of course, with the content that we do.
Yeah.
We stream a lot of Animal Crossing and a lot of Pokemon right now. And we have a huge array of ages in our community, and anywhere down
Huge,
a
yeah.
huge. We're not even joking. We'd have as young as people who say they're 8 years old, all the way to like 40s, 50s.
Wow,
And
that's a
so
wide range.
yeah, it is, and it's so incredible. That's why I've been trying to tone myself a little bit, because before, I mean, you probably remember, I would drop those f bombs as if it meant nothing, because it didn't. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are a lot of kids in our community now, and so I don't want their parents yelling at them for watching us, so I feel bad for them. And so because of that, I've toned it down a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely want to be that stream where if moms walks in, they don't immediately scream turn it off because they're like,
'Cause we're yelling.
effing Raymond and Animal Crossing. I can't believe you, stupid cat, or whatever. Like, we don't want to be,
Yeah.
too crazy.
Yeah,
But dude,
understandable.
the community is awesome. Like, what's crazy to see is last year, our metrics and statistics had us at 99% male viewers
Oh,
and
yes.
1% female.
Which
And
is so
this
sad to
year,
me. It was so
and
sad.
this year, I can
Wow.
proudly say that we've been working on such a diverse plethora of content that we now have 65% male and 35% female. And to anybody who's on the platform, that's
hard.
it's very hard. And 35%, some people might go like, that doesn't sound like that much, but you think about any viewership that you have when you have a video that has 10,000 views. That means 3,500 of those are of the other gender, which is freaking awesome.
Especially when
Yeah.
it
And
comes to the gaming community.
yeah, and we're and they come into our streams,
Mhm.
and the communities that we've built so far, because we want to say that we're part of the Pokemon community, we're part of the Animal Crossing community. They're some of the most supportive communities ever. Like they support what we do, but then
They're
they
so
also
kind.
support us with like when we go play Fall Guys. They're just like, I hate Fall Guys, but I'll watch it because it's you guys. I know you're streaming
Yeah.
Animal Crossing tomorrow,
Yeah.
and it's just stuff like that that is just really awesome. And it's really cool. It's just really cool to see actually getting the opportunity to build
And they'll laugh
a
at him
community.
too, especially again for Fridays. They're like, "Oh, I just want to see Dom rage because it's such a
Yeah.
rage-inducing game."
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course they'll pick on him, and
Constantly.
that's the one thing I love about our community is the female viewers that we do have will gang up on him and will always side with me. No matter what it's about, it's the
Even if she's
cutest,
wrong, they
funniest
agree with
thing
her.
ever.
It's
Yeah. It's the
terrible.
it's the cutest and funniest thing ever. And for sure, probably one of my favorite things about
Yeah.
the channel.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to create your community because like you go out there and you're making videos, you're making streams, and if you don't have a community, you kind of get like who's gonna come to my stream? When you have like a couple people come in and then people leave, but when you start creating a community, you start having them help you out, and it makes makes the chat a lot easier. I've noticed it's like, hey, they're sharing out the stream. I don't, I have to share it out myself, because that as a content creator, you want to make sure people know you're live. But then you have other people, because I look at my phone sometimes and I'll be like, ask people just in the stream real quickly share it out, and sometimes they do, and then some days I get a bunch of people sharing it out. I'm like, wow, it's more than I expected, and then you have a lot of people in there, and when you have that community, it really makes me as a content creator feel a lot more at ease and makes me have a lot more fun when I'm live playing any games that I'm playing. Because like me, I play a lot of different games. I'm much more variety than what y'all show because I do everything from Xbox to PlayStation to Nintendo, and 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 started to create my community like a lot of people right here for from y'all's podcast, me being on there helped me create a little bit of community with Jakin and was your player too and was y'all guys, and then being on the Chill Squad. It's a cool thing, when you do stuff like that and you can reach out and these communities overlap and all this stuff with each other. But it's cool to see whenever I come into especially your Pokemon or your Animal Crossing stream, to see the community of the people that are in there for it. It's really awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And as it continues to grow, I hope that we just continue to meet awesome people. Like we even have people who come in and they're like, can I be mod or this or that? And we have them. But the fortunate thing is we don't, at least for the moment, we don't attract too many crazies. So we're always really appreciative that, yeah, your crazy person who comes in and wants to do some obscenity is going to come in, but they happen so far and few between that most of the time when people come in, they end up coming in again later, and that's always a really cool thing. And then it extends further into like Discord. We're still dipping our toe into what Discord does and what it does for the community, and now we have people in our community appointed to just like, all right, you handle Discord because I'm an old man. I don't even know how to work Discord. I don't know how to assign. I don't know how to assign roles. We have people in the community who are handling and moderating that, and honestly, because they do that, and it's because they want to learn how to do these things.
Yeah.
Because they do that, it allows us to interact with people a little bit more on there too, and then that just further builds the relationships, which is really cool. Now, I can't imagine, somewhere down the line, God willing, where we have like 1,000 people in stream or 500 people in stream, what that'll end up looking like.
That would be insane.
But I the progression getting to that point, so far it's been really cool and kind of like baby steps. I think like progressively it's like, oh, okay, we started at 15 concurrent, now we have 20 concurrent, now we have 25, now we have 30. I like the slow progression because you can kind of baby your into it instead of like, there are some people who they genuinely do blow up. They go from like 3 people watching and now they have like 150 people because they have like one breakout video or something. And I can't imagine what that kind of like climate change is like, going from like nobody to like your chat's just like going nuts.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, let me see. I'm just checking what they're saying in chat. Okay. Yeah, it's really cool to see that. Now, another thing I want to mention. She's got me to buy a few of them right there. The love for the pop funkos. I knew it's something I wanted to ask because y'all have an array of them. And then the other night I'm in the stream and she's talking about, oh yeah, I have a whole bunch of Dragon Ball Z. It's like almost 60 of them downstairs. You don't even see that. And I'm like, where did that whole collecting the pop funkos come from? Because that's something that I know people have asked in the chat for, and right here on video, I want y'all to get it out there.
So I have a problem. I don't know if you see what Dom's holding right now. I just had a shipment of 7 new Funko Pops arrive
what
today.
I'm holding is a big ass pop. It's huge.
It's bigger than his head.
Wow.
So, this is gonna go back to the loot crates. Because that was Dom's Christmas present for me one year. He got me the subscription for loot crates, and he had it for me for like almost 2 years. And during that time, loot crates would sometimes include a little Funko Pop. And I think one of the first original ones that I got was the one that's like in front of me. Is that it?
I don't know.
I think so. It happened to be either one of two. It was from an anime. Yeah, so it was from Ancient Magus Bride. It was just a cute little Funko Pop. I was like, oh, these are so cute. And, you know, they're so tiny and small. It was like a little collectible figure for me. I didn't seek them out. They just came in those loot boxes, and little by little they started to pique my interest, and then I started seeing them pop around in stores. I saw them circulate in GameStop, and they weren't as big back then as they were now. They would just like pop up here and there. I was like, man, these are so cute. And I remember the real problem started when we started watching My Hero Academia, which is my problem behind us right now. What was it? Loot Crate had a My Hero Academia Funko box.
Yeah.
And it were a Loot Crate box, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And so it came with one Funko and like a ton more loot from My Hero. So I bought it. And that's where it just went straight downhill. I now have close to 270 Funko Pops throughout this entire house.
I only have like 5 maybe right now, and I've.
Well, you're good. You're good then. Like I said, so My Hero Academia is my biggest collection, and then comes Dragon Ball Z. Now there's hundreds and hundreds of Dragon Ball Z, and so I've made sure. I mean, it's already a huge, stupid collection.
Yeah.
So to make sure I don't become totally drowned in Funkos, I limit myself to what I pick and choose from Dragon Ball Z. So I don't buy every single one, just the ones that like really call to me. Certain exclusives will call my name, and now what I'll do is I'll get his opinion from it, because we both love Dragon Ball Z, right? So I will literally ask him, hey, which one do you like? I'm really leaning towards this one. Or I'll tell him I'm already getting this one. Like, don't tell me otherwise. But what do you think about these others? And he'll tell me, they're okay. I was like, okay, then I'm skipping that one, and then I'll just buy the ones I want. But yeah, it's also a huge problem. The other ones are like scattered here and there, like a few other animes. Like, what are those? Did you get? Oh,
I have like
Persona. He has a bunch of Persona ones.
I have all
here.
of the Persona Pops. I have the Yu Yu Hakusho Pops. And then she's starting to get into the PlayStation ones.
Dude, so I gotta be careful with the PlayStation.
So now we have God of War and Ghost of Tsushima and soon to be Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, well, we also got, Ghost. What other one did we get? Last of Us. Yeah,
Last of Us. We have the Last of Us one.
Nice.
God of War.
I have to be careful with the PlayStation ones because they're dangerous.
And then every now and then she lets me buy an amiibo once in a while.
I have to limit him with his amiibos because he does this very stupid habit of buying duplicate amiibos when we don't need them because he forgets that he pre-orders it and then he'll order it again.
Oh, I didn't order that.
He's done that like on 4 different occasions. I'm not even joking. 4 different occasions. He's done that with Link. He's done that with the Pokemon trainer, Pichu. What other one did you duplicate buy?
I don't know. I don't think you're lying. I don't know.
I'm not lying. I can go grab them. There's a few duplicate ones that he's buying.
That's a very nice collection of Pop Funkos. Like for me, when it comes to Pop Funkos, I have one for like my favorite video games. That's Borderlands. My favorite character Zero, Kingdom Hearts, Sora. Then I've got obviously the game that I played on the PlayStation this year. Y'all got me to get this one with the Ghost of Tsushima one. The one was he actually got blood on him. You know, it's like I played that game.
GameStop exclusive.
And I played the game and I was like, that's my favorite PlayStation 4 game of this generation, so I had to get it. Then y'all sent me the link and I'm getting the Master Chief one coming out. So I'm just like, slowly but surely it's starting to creep over and I'm just like, yeah, it's not too bad, you know.
That's what we did with Jakin in the chat too. I just kind of slowly started to be like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna buy this," and then I stopped putting like, "I think I'm gonna buy it," to send him links, and then suddenly he's like, "I bought it. I don't regret anything." And then he has like the Avatar one.
Well, I sent him that one as a gift because I knew he was crazy in love with Avatar, the Last Airbender. It's actually over there, and I bought one for Dom as well, but I didn't tell Jake, and I was like, yo, what's your address? He's like, why? I was like, don't worry about it. And then it just showed up at his house one day, and he was like, oh my God, this is freaking amazing. And then, so I bought him his first Funko, and now he has a problem. And you know I have a problem when you know what retailer it's from. Like you just said you had Jin, and the one covered in blood is strictly a GameStop exclusive. Talking about Halo, right?
Yeah.
So we're the game itself and the statue, it's not a Funko, but they are coming out with Halo Infinite Funko Pops.
Yes, they are.
But I have already all of them pre-ordered. The only one I missed out on from that strand was the Target exclusive, which I was pretty pissed about because I didn't know it dropped.
Very mad about.
I was so mad because I didn't know it dropped. So there's like was it 4 and then like 3 other exclusives, so there's like 7 total in that line. I have 6 of those ordered already.
Which is just proof that the game was supposed to come out this year. What the heck, Xbox?
Yes, and it didn't. So I mean, it's sad, but I'm glad because
I'm not glad.
Of course. Well, I mean, Halo is just one that I've loved to have. I've seen some of the older Funko Pops that they used to have for Halo. So beautiful, but damn so expensive. Like if you're crazy and ever try to go back to like 100% complete your collection with it, you'd easily spend thousands of dollars because there's like a Halo Master Chief Funko from Blockbuster who easily goes for like $500-600.
Yeah, man. There's a channel I watch. He's called he does a lot of videos on Instagram called Funko Pop Pursuit. He's part of like the NES Pursuit guys and all that. And I watch him showing some Funko Pops, and he shows all these ones, and I'm like, they make ones for all these different characters, and like from Marvel to this to that you don't even think to have. And I'm like they go out and get so many. It's like you think, okay, they're gonna make the big ones for Dragon Ball Z, the big ones for this. No, even the little characters, they're making sure they got those.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, actually, talk about grab that one. There's a new one. It's under the table, right there. So there's this new one that just came out. I haven't even opened it yet because I'm saving it for Christmas, and there's a reason to it. I think it's a new thing that they're doing. Is it Advent box or what is it called? That's what it's called, an Advent box. So it's still in the wrapping, as you can see. There are many Funkos. And so literally,
that is nice.
Yeah, so you can see I'm going to have 24 days of absolute fun. And this just came out. I'm like, Funko literally has their cookies in every single jar across literally every universe. Like you said, they have Marvel and things like that. And mind you, I'm just strictly Dragon Ball Z. And
it's like I got like I used to watch Power Rangers when I was little. That was like my favorite childhood series. And then I was like, and then I was going on Amazon just looking up some stuff, and then I saw one. I was like, buy right there. I just had to have
another one. Another one that I have a small little issue. It's not as bad, but they just barely got the license for it. Is Pokemon. They now have Pokemon Funkos, and so I don't have all of them, but I do have the majority of them.
Well, that's cool to,
So, yeah.
to dive into that. So another question I wanted to ask, because let me see how long we've been here real quick. Because I want to be nice of your time and all that. So we're probably gonna go about another 15, maybe 20 minutes if that's okay with y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, we've been asking a lot about your channel and where all this stuff, and I still have a few more questions about that. But if y'all would like to ever share anything outside of just strictly gaming, is there anything that you're really into? Is there like some movies that you're into, a TV show, animes, anything like that that maybe you'd like to share with the audience out there that may watch it now after the fact, as long as this is up here on YouTube?
Yeah, so I think outside of gaming, I really don't consume a lot of like TV and stuff.
Yeah,
I
we
do
don't.
watch a lot of anime.
Mhm.
Most if not, I would say 75% of Funimation and Crunchyroll, and even applications like High Dive and Verve. I've consumed most, if not all, anime in existence.
This is true.
I watch every kind of anime. I'm not like a pow pow
one
kick
type,
kick
yeah.
anime guy. I watch everything. I watch shonen. I'll watch slice of life. I'll watch ecchi. I'll watch isekai. I'll watch all kinds of I watch so much anime. I even contemplate having an anime channel because I've
He
probably
did.
there's like little spouts that I go through. Like 2 months ago, I wasn't playing games for about 3 weeks.
Wow.
So there was like 3 weeks that I did not play games, and I probably watch about 24 different animes throughout that 3 week period. Like I was watching on my days
Wow, that's
off.
serious
I
dedication.
literally binge watched like at least 4 different animes that were 12 to 15 episodes. And I just kind of went through them and just binge watched. And I have episodes like that all the time to where I'll just flat out outside of streaming, like outside of the days we stream, I just watch anime. And then what happens is I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna start playing this game, and then something grabs my attention, and then that's kind of where it starts. And I start watching anime that's kind of like week by week. So like even like right now, we're watching a few. Like I know
Agent
personally,
Academy.
I'm watching like a few different anime like right now, and a couple of them like just ended. Like I just ended watching like the Sword Art line. I just ended watching an anime that was called like Class Academy something. I watched all kinds
Yeah.
of anime that kind of borderlines hentai but doesn't quite do it, and then I watched the anime
It's
that's
typically
like
just what was it? Your harems. But anything that's around harems, he'll watch.
I definitely watched that. I'm watching one right now that's called dang, what is it called? Oh, it's like one that's called like Elite Classroom. That's really just about kids who are smart in school. I watch the ones that people like. It's just like real life stuff. One of my favorite animes of all time is called Real Life. Is all like the whole anime is just about
One dude dying
people who
over and
basically
over.
fail at life and they get
Wow.
unemployed, and then
Oh no, that's
they
the other
get
one.
they get told to take like a pill, and they get sent back to high school to kind of redo their life. Another one of my
Interesting.
animes that I love is called Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. It's about a dude who's a manga artist. So I mean, I watch every kind of anime. And I watch anime from the 80s, the 90s to now, and I've rewatched so many anime. So I think outside of gaming, anime is probably like one of my other big passions that I've had in life. And then like when I was in college, I watched a lot of Korean dramas too. So I used to watch
Yes.
when I watched TV, I would watch a lot of Korean dramas, and
We
it's some of
used to
the
watch a lot of Korean dramas.
we did, and it's some of the best TV that most people have never watched. So
like talk about like soap operas. Like you know how like you always see those Mexican families that always have to watch their novelas.
Yeah.
That was us, but for Korean dramas.
and they're fantastic.
They
I mean,
are so good.
they're good, and they're think about like a soap opera if it wasn't low budget and terrible acting and
Yeah.
actually good. Like that's what these are. Like
Yeah.
they're really good. Outside of that, though, I mean, we do watch, stuff. We don't really go to the movies. We don't really watch too many movies. We're not really movie people.
We don't like leaving the house.
She only lets me own like 3 Blu-rays, and the 3 that I own outside of
We don't. Okay,
outside
hold
of Tron
Hold on. We don't.
is anime.
We don't need to own movies or Blu-rays because there's streaming services available for that.
Yes.
The only thing I believe that should be physically allowed in our house are video games. I don't need movies to take up space when I can just stream it from online. Now you're gonna probably say the same thing with video games, but I love physical collecting, and because how video games has such a stronghold over our lives. I mean, if movies had a stronghold over our lives, then it'd be different, but they don't. And so a lot of streaming services, even if you do have like a gaming thing online, if they ever like pull that game off, the online service, you can't ever play it again. That's why I prefer having physicals.
I don't mind that too much. I don't think movies don't age well. Games do, right? You can pop an NES cart and go play an NES game, but you don't want to pop in a VHS and go watch a VHS right now.
That's true.
So they don't really age well too. So I'm not really mad about that, but there are like certain ones that I would like to have. But anyways, anime is my love, and then like every now and then we'll watch some random show.
If he owns a movie, it's typically the Marvel universe. Like you have most of the Avenger movies, and I mean our son absolutely loves those movies as well. He's super like all he loves to watch is Spider-Man. That's his entire thing. Awesome. Our daughter, on the other hand, you would be thrilled to know this. She absolutely loves Sailor Moon, and I mean we're talking about the original.
Oh, the original! Wow.
And she's only 5. She'll do her little power up thing and say the whole shabam as far as like transforming into a Sailor Guardian. And so for those, of course I'm totally okay with owning them. But we don't need to have them physically in the house, especially when the kids are running everywhere. It's like, nope, I don't need more mess. I almost watch everything that he does when it comes to anime, except I'm a little bit more niche down to where like I love fantasy typed animes. I can care less for like the spice of life type of stuff because that's just like kids in school. Because I'm like, whatever, I don't care about the drama.
I eat it up. No,
I don't. So that's why I don't watch everything with him. There are some that
she hates the anime.
Yeah, he does know that there are some that I will literally rip his head off if he watches without me, and so he cannot watch. And if it's out and if I'm not in the mood to watch it, he can't watch it without me. He has to wait until I'm like, okay, let's go watch our anime.
She's also very particular. She's gotten better.
Yeah,
I'll watch anime. Period. Subbed, dubbed, whatever. It doesn't matter for me. And in anime, like I get impatient like everybody else in the world. So sometimes if we do start watching something that's dubbed and it gets really good, I want to know what happens. So if it's subbed, I don't care. I just want to watch the anime.
No, there's some that I won't buckle
and she
with.
refuses to let me.
There's a couple that I've buckled. My Hero Academia is a huge one, right?
Yeah.
From the very beginning we started it dubbed. I will not move. He's like, we need to watch the next episode because like, Corona happened and they weren't dubbing them as much as they were in subbing them in Japan. And I was like, no, we're waiting for the English version. I was like, I don't care what you say. If we end up 4 weeks behind, we're waiting. He's like, but it's already out. I was like, I don't care. I was like, there's no way that I am just like if you were to go to dubbed from Dragon Ball Z to subbed and you hear the differences in Vegeta's and Goku's voice.
Yes.
I just can't. So there's certain ones that I refuse to. There has been others that I've broken down. It's like, okay, fine, we'll watch it. Better. Yeah. And there's some that just don't give you the option for dubbed, and so of course I'm like, yes, let's watch this one. But that's the same reason why I have certain moods where I'm like, he's like, you ready to watch our anime? And if I'm laying down in bed, I don't want to have to focus and concentrate to read because it's in sub. And I'm like, no. We'll watch it tomorrow. Yeah. Shows, we don't watch shows. I mean, we pay for the subscriptions for the kids, so like Amazon Prime, TV, the Netflix and things like that for the kids. I really don't watch that kind of stuff. If I do, it's because I'm stupid bored and I just don't feel the like urge to want to play a video game or something like that. So I'll just literally just fill my head with stupid crap. But there is only one show right now that is worth watching. The Boy is on Amazon Prime TV. That's the only thing really that we're legit watching on a weekly basis.
I've had people tell me to watch that show and I have not watched an episode yet.
Dude, you need to. Okay, just watch the first one. That's why I told Tiny. She's probably still here in chat. Just watch the first one. You'll have more questions literally after the very first episode. You'll be like, what is going on? And if, because you're out of your curiosity, you're like, well, now I need answers to these questions. You're going to just watch the second one naturally.
Yeah, so that's really like the only
yeah.
like actual show
Yeah.
that we watch, and we're like waiting for every Friday now because they decided to not do it in batches,
Oh,
but they do
God.
it weekly now. So
Yeah, when we first started watching that, I mean, it was out of boredom. Dom was like, "Oh, let's watch this one," and
I had
literally,
never heard of it. I was like,
he never
"Meh."
heard of it. He just hit play, and I just happened to be there. And throughout the entire episode, my jaw was just like in disbelief. I was like, "What exactly are we watching?" And ever since then, I was like, you know what? It's probably one of our favorite shows now.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep, Tiny is still here in the chat. Still only on episode 5. It's good, just not really something I would watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely for sure not for everybody. Definitely not family friendly. Do not watch it around kids. Like literally, with our kids running around the house, I'm like, nope, you guys are to stay in your room.
It's fun to hear about that. Hear about your love. You got a strong love for gaming, anime, and pop Funkos, and you kind of revolve around that. Other than what your kids are doing, so it's pretty cool to see that, and share that, because a lot on your channel, I know y'all focused a lot on the Nintendo side of it when it comes to the gaming, and y'all do show love for Xbox and PlayStation, which sometimes streaming some of the shows and all that. But and even whenever you did have the podcast going, definitely you had me, Jake, and a whole slew of other people come there to talk about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an honor to every time that y'all let me be on there. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I really like doing stuff like this, growing the friendship, get to know more about y'all, and share it with people. It's really cool and everything like that. So getting back to your channel. This is not the last question I'm going to ask you, but looking ahead forward, is there anything that you like want to do on the channel, or anything like maybe you just want to put like a little teaser out there, or something maybe y'all want to try out in the future with next generation coming up and all that and everything?
I mean, if I had to be really transparent and honest, not really, just because the type of games that we really focus on is we're going to be looking out on a continuance of Animal Crossing. The Halloween and fall update just came out. Later on in the year, there's going to be another Thanksgiving update. There's going to be a Christmas update, and then as we move forward into January, hopefully Brewster, which is a character, comes in. Hopefully Valentine's Day comes in. So that game's going to continue to grow alongside us. Pokemon's gonna continue to grow too.
Yeah, they just
we're gonna
dropped the
continue to have
Frozen. The Frozen Tundra is gonna be
Yeah,
coming out soon.
Yeah, that just dropped.
Not that.
Yeah, so that information for the Frozen Tundra. Speaking of that just dropped. I didn't really see anything from it because I was at work, but I did go on Twitter and see what some people's reaction, and I saw you dropped a video with your reaction of. What do y'all think about what's going to be coming with all the legendaries coming to the game and all that?
I'm so excited because there's never been variants for legendaries, and so it's definitely something new that they're taking the franchise along to. We started seeing different variants like a few games ago when Sun and Moon came out, right? And then of course or was it Alolan?
That's Sun and Moon.
Yeah, and so they did their region variants, and so we started seeing it a little bit with that game, and then of course they continued that scheme with Sword and Shield with the Galarian regional ones, right? And so it's kind of cool to see how they're evolving the series, so that way they're still giving us something new, but it's something that we still remember. I'm excited for it. I don't know about other people to see if they're upset that they're changing their original favorites type of things. So far I haven't heard anything bad about it. But it continues to give us more content to, of course, hang out with our community. Definitely. I love shiny hunting. And so I mean, story-wise, they say it's just as big as the original. And so that's going to be interesting too to see.
Crossing fingers for that.
Yeah, just to see what they do with the story itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't be happier. I'm kind of glad that they didn't do just a whole new game. I'm kind of glad that they did do DLC, because every time they come out with a new game, I kind of feel like I forget about it, and then you just don't feel as encouraged to go back to it. And so this year, instead of doing a second Pokemon game like they normally do, they did the DLC. And so I'm kind of glad that they did that, and I kind of want to see more of that in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but as we continue forward, we're gonna do the Crown Tundra stuff when that drops in October. We'll end up covering all of the story. We'll end up streaming all of that.
You'll see us doing it side by side like we did
Nice.
before.
Yeah, when it launches, well, that specific weekend that it launches, all of our streams will probably be dedicated to
Yeah.
just bust through the story, like when Isle of Armor came out, and then it goes back to our regular schedule. But yeah, I think as we continue to grow the channel, like I said, later on this year, Hyrule Warriors is coming out, so we'll put a little bit of focus on that. Hopefully, we'll be able to create some content around how to do specific stuff within Hyrule Warriors, because it seems like it's definitely going to not just be your Dynasty Warriors garbage game. It seems like it's going to be really especially it's gonna be really special. So I'll
Yeah.
probably end up doing like a lot of content surrounded by that. And then when Monster Hunter Rise ends up coming out in March, we'll probably do more of how tos and other content surrounding Monster Hunter Rise. And then on the way there, we'll continue with Pokemon how tos and Animal Crossing helpful videos, and just kind of
Updates.
continuing covering those games. And
these games that have communities built around them that
Yeah.
that can kind of get a life of its own and just keep going on as they give periodic updates and all that to keep
Yeah,
fresh
the
in
hope
game.
is, the hope is we put out one video, and every 100 people that watch it, one person trickles into one of our streams, and then that kind of slowly builds forward. So the goal is to do a good amount of content around some of these games, and then also stream them,
Yeah.
and then to kind of just keep moving the channel forward. YouTube's all about momentum, so we're gonna try and
Yes,
create it and keep writing it
Yeah.
out.
I want to talk about next gen from like one of my last questions for you. But since we're on a
Yeah.
podcast, do you ever see yourself dipping your toe back into the podcast side of things, where you talk about a multitude of things like you were earlier this year, and what really kind of helped the channel blossom and grow? Do you ever see yourself doing that?
That's a great question.
We've been asked that actually
Um,
quite a few times.
I would say the short answer is no. I think that if we would ever cater the idea again, it would need to be when we are to a point to where we don't have like a small strong community. It would need to be where we have a large community with a small community size inside of it that would be willing to go on that journey with us, and it would
Yes.
need to be separate from our actual channel. But the reality is, starting a podcast only channel with not enough backing is very, very difficult. And it needs to be worth it, not only for us, the viewer, but it has to be worth it for people that we have on as well.
Yeah.
And if the value isn't there, especially for people who are coming in and we don't have an audience to expose them to, it's just not something that I really want to do, although I am passionate about it. So I think the short answer is no. But we would love to, in the future, participate in certain ones.
Now, if you remember, we started this whole channel on a podcast.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
we've done
yeah.
technically 2 podcasts now
Yeah.
on this channel. And so it's not that we're afraid of it or anything. We just don't feel that right now is the time to continue to grow it.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just really hard, especially when we have a community who they're there to see a thing, and when it's not that thing or close to that thing, they're just not there, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like
Yeah.
We would see a lot of our community pop in saying, "Hey, saw you guys were live. Just want to say hi." But we'll catch you tomorrow.
it's like
type of
logging
thing.
into Crunchyroll for anime, but you get exposed to a bunch of the Rock movies.
Yeah.
Well, the Rock movies probably aren't watched on Crunchyroll because you're not there for that. They're there for anime.
Exactly.
And now, if
I'm
Dwayne
saying-
the Rock Johnson gets animated, and he's suddenly the lion tiger of Japan, maybe they watch it. But if it's Jumanji 3, they're probably not watching it. And so it's kind of that mentality.
Yeah, I know I've asked Dom the question before about it, even before we got on there, if we would ever do anything together, which kind of is what led to y'all being on here. And he's kind of said, for right now, just kind of leave the opinions and all that of other stuff, maybe outside of like live stream my reaction to like one of the events. He leaves that for like y'all's Twitter, kind of like, hey, here's my opinions on the Xbox stuff and the PlayStation stuff. Leave it. He kind of leave it there, and that leads me in. I know y'all don't really focus a lot on the other stuff on the side, but I know y'all have a big love for Xbox and like with Sea of Thieves and stuff like that, and also for the PlayStation side of things, with Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War. Are y'all hyped for next gen and everything like that? Are y'all really looking forward to getting these consoles and playing games on them?
Yes. So we're actually going to be picking up the consoles day one. I'm off on both days. I made sure of it. And so, yeah, I think he's going to be working both days. And so I'm going to be standing in line. They're already pre-ordered. So they're already out of the way. Thankfully, we're going to be getting 2 PlayStations because typically when it comes to PlayStations, co-op has to be individually on its own console. So we have to have our own. Xbox, thankfully, there's not that many co-op games to be played on. So we're only going to be doing 1. And the reason why, again, that we're only getting 1 is because of the letdown of Halo Infinite. Infinite, yes, I know. It hurts me so bad to say that. It hurts me so bad. If Halo Infinite still would have been released day 1 with the console, without a doubt, I would have picked up 2 because of the multiplayer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, I had a small little series that we did here on the channel that was the road to Halo Infinite. And yeah, we tried it. He gave up on it. I wanted to play from the, make that face to him. He's a jerk. I wanted to start from the very, very beginning of Halo and take everybody on that journey, getting them ready for Halo Infinite.
Same thing I wanted to do. I did the same thing. I was like, I started with my favorite Halo, and then when I beat it, I said on Twitter, "Hey, here's the rest of them. Vote for one." And then I went through Reach, 3, and the first one, and then I got to the second one, and kind of people started dropping off, and I was like, okay, I see where it's going. I'll just play it off stream. Yeah. And then they came with the announcement in the news, and I was just like, no.
Right?
It's gonna be a long road, man.
I felt devastated when it was announced, but at the same time, I'm like, what my plan originally was, once we were to get to 5, go back onto the online, because I've played it. Whenever I replay Halo, I feel like I wipe up all the dust and cobwebs off of me, and I'm like, okay, I feel good. I'm decent at it. I'm not like entirely amazing. I'm okay. But I wanted to get ready for the online co-op of Halo Infinite because I was like, I want to get into it. To me, that's what I'm thinking. That's what would replace my Destiny. Right? That's what I was hoping for, because when we played Destiny 2, he was all about the online co-op. I mean, we played Gambit, we played all the other modes for online. I love raids.
I love competitive Destiny.
Yeah, I love the raids and all of that stuff. The online drove me crazy because sometimes our teams would just suck and we'd lose, and I'm a very competitive person. And so I was like, that's what I want to do with Halo Infinite. Because it got pushed back, I was like, you know what? Because of my love and loyalty to Xbox, I'm still gonna get one, because I mean, I need to see what it's about first of all.
Yeah.
I want to dig a little bit more deep into it. Of course, check out the backwards compatibility, see how well it looks with the other ones. Oh my god,
yes. Backwards compatibility. Yes. Oh my god, so good.
And because we have a whole slew of collection, he grew his retro collection with Xbox, PlayStation, and some other games. But I really just want to see what we can get out of it. I'm really excited for it. Once Halo Infinite finally gets its date again, then I'll probably plan on picking up a second. But at least for the time being, we at least got both pre-orders secured for both consoles.
Yeah, and it sounds like the way you're talking about the retro collection, all that, you got the physical version of each console.
Oh yes. Yeah,
I
we have
have a
bookcases on
really
bookcases.
yeah, I have a really big OG Xbox collection. And I've been growing my Xbox One collection too for the same reason that I know it's just gonna keep carrying forward with me. Like I love my Xbox One X because I go back and I play a lot of games that are enhanced, and we're continuing to see the same thing with Series X, right? Like
Hmm.
Digital Foundry did a mock-up of Final Fantasy 15 running at 4K 60 on the Series X, and I was like, heck yes, I can't wait to go back. I want to play Final Fantasy 15 again when I get the Series X, and I think that's going to be really hype. So I'm very excited about the backwards compatibility stuff that Series X is doing. But on the PS5 side, they're not doing a lot of the consumer friendly stuff, but the
Yeah,
reality
because
is,
it's
man,
so.
the
Yeah.
software is there though. Like
Yeah, because it
the
looks.
moment they uttered the word Spider-Man, I love Spider-Man. It's one of my he's one of my favorite
That's
superheroes
what
of all
secured
time.
him.
And I was like, I'm there come hell or high water. Like I'm gonna be there for the PlayStation 5 just for Miles. And Miles is my favorite Spider-Man character, period. So I can't wait for it. And then
Understand.
Ratchet and Clank is coming. And then typically with PlayStation, I said earlier, I love JRPGs. With PlayStation comes JRPGs, so I know I'm gonna get quality JRPGs as we move forward. And again, we're gonna have both. I'm excited for next gen. I'm excited for what it brings, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome for sure.
Definitely. So the last question I really got about next gen before I kind of let y'all say y'all's final words to everybody that's here in the chat, and I want to say thank you to everybody that came out and said anything. If you're still here, thank you for sticking along with us for throughout this, learning more about them and all that. And I'm glad that they have enjoyed being here. It seems like they're really happy about being here and all that. The last question I got is
Yeah.
obviously we're going into next gen. One of the biggest studios out there, Bethesda. I want to hear what y'all's opinion on that is Bethesda being bought by Xbox.
There's nothing that excites me and tickles me more in life than knowing that Skyrim is going to get remastered for next gen. I cannot wait to play Skyrim on my Series X inevitably at 120 FIPS. But no, seriously, I'm very excited. I think it's awesome. Xbox needs Xbox needed something,
Yeah.
and acquiring Bethesda, I think, is really a great move for them. Ever since I can remember, I've been playing Bethesda games on Xbox. I have Morrowind on Xbox. I have Oblivion on Xbox. I have the original Fallout. I mean, I have every game that has been offered through Bethesda. I have on the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, Xbox One. I have Skyrim on the Xbox One. We played it with mods.
Yep.
I played it for a couple hundred
It was
hours.
so
She played
fun.
it for 9 times more than that.
Yes, I was
Um,
addicted to it for a little while.
So I think the past couple of years have been rough for Bethesda, but I think they're going to bounce back, and they're going to bounce back hard. And now when they do bounce back hard and they offer great quality games that you have to play, it's now going to be through Xbox, which I think is crazy. We're Game Pass subscribers. Not that we won't buy them physically anyways, because we will,
Yeah.
but we're Game Pass subscribers. And what that means is I already own like Morrowind, I own Oblivion, I own all these games, but now they're all gonna come to Game Pass as well, which I think is really cool for people who've never played some of these games.
Yeah.
When Skyrim
Oh, God,
gets
yes.
when Skyrim inevitably gets remastered, it's gonna come to Game Pass,
Yeah.
which I think is cool. Starfield will be there.
Yeah.
Doom,
The new Doom's
Wolfenstein.
dropping right. I think in early October, right there in Game Pass.
Yeah, like literally in this next week.
So I think it's a really good pickup. I would love to see a marriage. I basically what I want to see now going forward is I want to see Xbox give Bethesda maybe a few of their IPs that they've had in the back burner for a while and just see what happens, because people forget that Xbox, they have so many IPs that just haven't been in existence
Yeah.
for over a decade. So I would love for them just to give them maybe just like one or two IPs to some of the Bethesda studios
Yeah.
and just see what happens. But I think it's one of the craziest things in gaming. How I think about it is that E3, right? You have the big three: Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony,
Yeah.
and then you have the smaller but really large companies. You have EA, Ubisoft, Square, and Bethesda, who also have press conferences. They
Yeah.
just bought one of them.
Mhm.
And that's crazy that they just bought another press conference at E3. Like people forget, like Bethesda is its own. They have so many games and so
There's
many
so
things
many
to offer
different.
that it's its own press conference.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
they
when they
bought
bought
that.
Bethesda, they went from having 15 studios to having 23. So they bought 8 studios in that whole bundle for like $7 billion, not million, but billion. That's a chunk of change that they're sitting there saying, "Hey, we want to invest in IPs for the next generation."
Yeah, and what's crazy too is there's games that the people who love them, but they don't sell well, like Dishonored, like Prey,
Yeah,
even kind of Wolfenstein, and maybe some of them would have gone away if Bethesda kept being who they are because they're just not selling well. But now because Game Pass and Microsoft money, those games will probably continue existing,
Oh
even
yeah.
just because they can just be put on
yeah,
Game Pass and people can get those games for free.
yeah, and
So,
like
well,
you
not free,
said,
but you know what I mean.
Phil Spencer's doing a good thing over there with Xbox. Other than he had come into a company that didn't have a lot of exclusives this generation. But the thing about it is, you did mention that Bethesda's had a few hard couple years. And they were obviously looking for somebody to buy them. So to see ZeniMax and
Yeah.
Bethesda get bought by them, maybe Phil Spencer can say, hey, see how I'm structuring these other studios. Maybe he puts a little bit more structure in there, and then all these IPs they get to come out. But since they have a little more structure, they come out, and the Fallouts and the Skyrims and all that come out. But they're a little less buggier because now they've got somebody that's over there saying, hey, focus more on the game. We'll focus on all the promotion and all this other back end for it and getting the game out to people. Just focus more on the game, and then you get these better quality Bethesda games, and you're like, man, I used to play Fallout and it was so buggy. Now I'm playing one that's quality, and it's like such a bigger game. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be crossovers and there's going to be sharing of tech. You know what I mean? So right now, Fable's being made. Imagine now if maybe Bethesda sends a team over to go help the people who are creating Fable. They own Obsidian, who's making their new RPG. Right now,
Yeah.
they can share tech, they can share people, they can share studios. So I mean, games like Avowed, from Obsidian that's coming. Well, maybe some of the people who left Obsidian to go work at Bethesda or vice versa can now reunite. Like that's cool stuff. So I think it's a good thing, and I think we are a few years away from seeing the fruits of this acquisition. But when it comes, I think it's going to reinvigorate some people's love for Xbox, and you love to see it, right? It's only better for us as gamers. Like the
Yeah.
better games Xbox make, the better games PlayStation's going to have to make, and Nintendo. I mean, they make the best games, period. So they're just going to continue being Nintendo. So
Yeah, because
and it's
Nintendo does
awesome.
their thing. It's usually Xbox and PlayStation and all these indie studios that have to sit there and be like, what are we going to do to compete with that? Because you just say
Yeah.
Mario, you just say Zelda, you just say Animal Crossing, and it's going to sell.
Yeah, that's literally what happened in Breath of the Wild, and now what's going to happen with Calamity.
Yeah, it's like.
So I mean, it's just Dom already pre-ordered 2 of them, so the name sells itself, and that's what really, I feel like with Xbox now again acquiring Bethesda, it's going to be a huge turnaround. I'm really excited for it. They have a few of my favorite names in there as well, like Dom said, Skyrim. I spent so many hours in that thing. It was almost embarrassing. Too many houses kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with it.
Oh, dude, and now you're gonna get EA Play to come the launch of the Series X. So not
Yeah.
only did they buy Bethesda, you're gonna get Bethesda games. You're also gonna get access to EA Play, which I wouldn't subscribe to if you put a gun to my head. But you give it to me for free. Sure,
That's
I'll play
fine.
Madden. I'll play a
Yeah.
little bit of FIFA. I'll
I
play a
won't,
little bit
but
of Mass
cool.
Effect, whatever. Like,
Yeah, a little bit
so
of
I
Need for
think
Speed.
they're doing really
So.
cool things over there.
Yeah, so yeah, they're definitely making that people look at them like, hey, once you release Halo, you got to start having these things come out, because that's what everybody's think. That's what I'm thinking as a gamer. I'm like, okay, they pushed Halo back. Maybe when they did that, they realized they got to work a little bit more on it, and they work on the other games that they haven't even announced. And then once Halo drops, you just have a steady slew of games just coming out year after year, and then finally 2023 comes around, Bethesda starts doing their games for them, and it's just like a fruits of labor, coming to us. We're seeing it.
And here's the thing to think of too is, remember when you were in middle school or high school or when you were just a kid, right? And you would get a system for Christmas or maybe your birthday or something, and you would get a game maybe or two, and you would have a couple of games for like a year, right? With Xbox now, Xbox Live has existed for 20 years now almost.
Yeah.
So parents, people who are raising kids who are our age now, they're used to these services existing. So as a kid who gets a brand new Xbox on Christmas, well, mom, dad, for $15 a month, I can have Xbox Live, which I need. You knew that. You bought me an Xbox. I need Xbox Live, but I can also have a bunch of games day one. Even if they're not console exclusives, maybe they're not Miles Morales, whatever. But that's
still,
crazy. It's
value,
crazy.
If you think about it, $15 a pop or $120 a year. That's the value of 2 brand new games.
Yeah.
That
Amen.
most parents typically buy on holiday with their brand new console. Or you just spend the $15 a month so you break up your $120 for that year, and the kid can literally have thousands or hundreds of games to choose from.
I would have lost my crap as a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have had that many
if you told
games.
me that, you're like, I don't have a physical game for you, but let's download this, let's scroll through the library and see what game you want to play. And there's so many to choose from, that kid would lose their mind.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it is that say they're in a house and they only have a console and they have 2 controllers for that one console, and then the kids start getting a thing. Hey, go play it on your phone. There it is, XCloud. You got that too, right there. Go play it on your phone.
Exactly.
Like you play your Switch. You want to play a game together. Y'all can do that. Just one gets this, that. So it's really awesome because nowadays it's different than whenever we were little. Because some of us still remember. I remember I got 1 or 2 games with my console, and I'd get maybe a couple games throughout the year, or maybe 2 years, get maybe total 5 games. And I remember going to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or something and going and renting games. Now I just go to a service and have all the games that I would go rent right there to access to get.
Exactly. Your parents would be renting you a game for 3 days for $5.
I can't beat the game in 3 days. It's
or
exactly.
Now they spend $15 and I just have the game. It's a crazy value, especially if I'm in high school, maybe I work at the theater or I work at the ice cream shop or something. I can afford.
He's using his real life.
That's what I worked at. I remember
working at the
but theater. I can afford $15. You know what I mean? I can afford $15 a month, and I can be like, here, mom, here's a 20 spot. $5 on me. Go buy you something nice. You know what I mean? I
go
could
buy yourself something nice with $5.
I could easily do that. You know what I mean? And I did that back in the day. I had Xbox Live when I was a kid playing Halo, and it was $10 a month or whatever it equated to. But I didn't get anything with it besides the ability to play Halo online. But now for a little bit extra, I get 100 games, and there's games being added all the time. It's a huge value, for younger people or just people who are just financially strapped who still want to play games.
It brings accessibility to a lot of people to get games because I watched she used to be at IGN. You may have heard her name, Alana Pierce. She showed in a video that it's accessibility to these people games because he said it's not just for people that you get a lot of games for this price, but for people that are on budgets or small families where you don't have money to go out there and do it, but you can buy this, and then everybody in the house can play games off this one console because you have all these games. And then even for the disabled community, because Xbox has looked at that and said, made a controller for them, and then they're disabled people, they don't know how a game's going to be until they're an hour or 2 into the game. So they have got there and pay that money for it, and it's hey, you get Game Pass, you can check these games out. If it works for you, it works. If it doesn't, you go to the next game, and it really brings accessibility.
And the other awesome thing, and I know it sounds like we turn into Xbox podcast, but the other awesome thing is, that mom and dad goes to GameStop, and the 360 games, they're basically throwing them away for 99 cents a pop or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They can also buy that 360 game, and it'll just work on their new console that they just bought this year, even though it's a game from 12 years ago. And that's a really cool value for families, for children and stuff like that too, because you can just play anything for the most part from the Xbox line of consoles, and that's invaluable. Alternatively, you have the PlayStation 5, and you don't even know if you can play your PlayStation 4 game. Your saves might not transfer over. You might have to do some rigmarole. You might have to have your PS4 plugged in and your PS5 and your PS3 if you want to play that. If you got a game on sale, and
Yeah,
it's confusing,
it
and
gets
it just kind of
confusing when it
sucks.
comes to play. It's like Xbox is making everything so easy, and then
Yes.
PlayStation is like you
I
got
love
the
it.
speed and you got graphics and everything. It looks really beautiful. It's beautiful, but we don't know much about how everything works, and it's just like
Right now, the only thing that they have are some good name exclusives. And I
yeah.
think that's what keeps calling to people. It's like
It's hard.
it is hard because I mean
But
they
the thing
have
about it,
the New
but for
Horizon
me as a
one that
gamer,
I'm
I
gunning
can
for.
love an exclusive, and I'll go play the exclusives, the Demon Souls and the Spider Mans and the God of Wars and Horizons. But whenever I'm not playing those and I'm on my PlayStation, is the UI going to be as good? Good, you know, is it still going to be slow like on the PS4? Is it going to have all these other features and bells and whistles that Xbox is giving me for whenever hey I want to go play a multiplayer game? Because
So
Xbox is giving you all that.
here's the thing: if you were to put a gun to my head and tell me to choose, even though we've been praising Xbox, I would still choose PlayStation, and it's just because Xbox doesn't have the support from Japan, and it kills me.
True.
Cause I play, like I said, I play JRPGs. They whisper Persona in my ear, and whatever the system that's on, I'm going there. That's just kind of how
Yeah,
it is. Those are the series that I
yeah,
play,
somebody
but I
was
also play
awfulness
I
in
also
your ear.
play really small games from a lot of Japanese developers, and the two places I play them on are PlayStation and then now the Switch, because the Switch has been getting a lot of support too.
Mm-hmm.
But Xbox doesn't get that support, so really, it's kind of hard. And if Xbox were just to have the software support, they already have everything else in place. But because they don't, that's why PlayStation has sold over 100 million and Xbox is like half of that. And it's
Yeah.
because of the software support. And the joke is, well, they have Gears, they have Halo, they have Forza, but what else? And they do have other things, but it doesn't have mainstream appeal. And that's what kills them. Because then you have the opposite side to where maybe, there's only Miles Morales on PlayStation 5 this year, but you have the promise of a new God of War, a new Horizon Zero Dawn. You're going to have support for all the Japanese developers. You know that the next Kojima thing is going to come out on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 6 is going to be there. So like you have the promise of what's already been proven, and that's why people will probably still end up going to PlayStation this gen, is just cuz what's going to be there already, cuz half of it's already kind of pre-announced.
Yep.
So that's where it becomes a
Yeah.
little
So hopefully this
it's
generation,
hard, man.
yeah. So hopefully this generation, like some of that stuff, because I know when they bought the whole Bethesda thing, as we mentioned a moment, one of the studios I believe is a Japanese studio that was up under the banner. So hopefully that helped them out, and hopefully their little friendship with Sega,
Yeah.
their little friendship they're building there with I forgot the game that they brought over. I can't think of the name of it.
Fantasy Star.
Fantasy Star. Maybe that helps them say, hey, Sega, we did this good thing for you. Bring some of your other games out there because Sega and Atlas are over here and like PlayStation. Here, you get whatever we do, over. It's like maybe Xbox can get a little bit of that love this generation as well, but we'll wait and see. But before we get out of here, y'all got any questions y'all want to ask me or anything y'all like to know before I let y'all get y'all's last few words in here?
So I think, and it'll be good. It's kind of like a mini outro for you. But where do you see yourself in a year, and what are your plans for your channel? Kind of the next
Okay, that's an interesting thing.
12 months going into 2021.
Well, I have not pre-ordered the two consoles because I'm a person that wants to sit there and wait and see kind of thing. But also, I have a better feel of myself whenever even if I gotta wear a mask like we do nowadays, go in there, go into Best Buy or go into Walmart and walk out with that console because I know I can go straight home, put it in, and I don't have to wait. Oh, when's it gonna get here? It's gonna be delayed. So I want to do that kind of thing. But I am definitely gonna get both of them, both the Xbox and the PlayStation, and I'm probably just because I still do want to get a couple physical things, and especially when you go for collector's editions, they give you the physical copy of the games. I'm gonna go for the disc version of both of them. But for me going down the road, for anybody that's wondering, especially y'all, I'm still gonna continue being a variety streamer, doing everything from a PS2 to a Nintendo Switch to TurboGrafx 16 that I got sitting here. I got all these like 6 or 7 different consoles sitting right here in my setup. I got consoles on one side, games over here, and then I got all my stuff right here. So I'm gonna continue doing that. Continue streaming 3 times a week on YouTube with 2 gameplay live streams, and then obviously the podcast on Wednesdays or Thursdays when I'm able to get it out there for people, and doing the occasional video when I have some highlights I want to share with people, or something like really strong, like whenever there was all that Halo stuff. People, it's so strong, it made me, I had to go out there and make a video on what I thought about it, you know. So that's kind of where I go with things. But live streaming has become my best thing. That's why I made my live streams look cleaner. I've started to add in transitions and do all that stuff. And whenever I'm not streaming on YouTube, I'm just I'm dipping my toes into the Twitch side of things and doing all that. And man, within 2 weeks of me streaming there on Twitch, I got affiliate and got all that stuff. And I had like everybody coming over there, hey, this. So I'm doing pretty okay. So within the next year, hopefully I can hit at least 100 on Twitch and at least 1,000 on YouTube, and continue doing my thing. Because if I hit 1,000 on YouTube and can get that watch time, I definitely want to open up membership, because I know people love doing the emotes in chat, and I want to be able to bring that to people and stuff like that, and continue playing a mixture of games that I grew up on, which is the Kingdom Hearts, the Borderlands, the Halos, but also sprinkling in multiplayer games that the community wants to see, and every so often one or two of the new titles that I'm playing. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to do. So as far as you all go, is there any final words y'all like to say to me, to the chat, or anything before we get out of here?
No, I think, really what I would say is, thank you for having us on. It's always nice to work with other creators, and it's always nice to have an avenue to just kind of talk not only about like our story, so maybe people who know us or don't kind of know where we started, where we came from, what we're doing. And it's always fun to talk about just gaming in general outside of what we normally talk about. I mean, really, if you guys enjoy, anything that we may do now or in the future, if you enjoy Animal Crossing, Pokemon, Fall Guys, if you have any questions about any of those games, we are definitely the place to be. If you guys ever have free time, definitely stop by 8:30 Pacific time, Friday to Monday. Come hang out. Our streams are basically a mix of gameplay, but it's really just chatting. As we play, we end up talking about a lot of things that we would have talked about in the podcast on our streams with people, which is always a really fun time. And we just we're just appreciative for having us on here today, and it was a fun time. I had a good time, and thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to all the 10 plus people who showed up and said what's up and came through.
Yeah.
And we hope that we end up doing this again someday.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank y'all for. I appreciate both of you, Dom and Cynthia, for giving some of your time throughout your day throughout playing games and spending time with your kids and all that to come on here, And hopefully, another thing in the year's time that I can continue doing this with solo episodes and with the interview style episodes. It doesn't have to be about y'all. Next time we can get a few topics together, and maybe y'all can come back on the channel in the future, and we can talk about some things. Maybe once these consoles release and we get our hands on them, you say, hey, you can come on my channel and have a platform to talk about it, and kind of just get your thoughts and opinions out there, I thank y'all for being there. Thank everybody in the chat that came by, and all that. I really appreciate it. It's something that I'm always nervous when I get creators on here. If I'm, am I gonna ask a stupid question or something like that? But hey, they enjoyed it. So I'm going to continue doing this for everybody. If you ever want to be on, anybody watching, feel free. My DMs are open on Discord and on Twitter for anybody at any time, and and all that. But yeah, definitely. I'm going to continue doing my live streams on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays right here on YouTube, and everything else over on Twitch at Chrislevi13. And thank you, Dom and Cynthia, for being here.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Of course, it's been a blast, so thanks so much.
Thank you to everybody in the chat, and we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. So as I always do, everybody, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next live stream whenever it happens.